In 2009, a man named Jacob lost his job, his savings, and 3 months later, his father's health. He sat in the same pew of a small Brooklyn church every single day for 6 weeks, praying for money to appear. It never did. What happened to him instead is the most important story I will tell on this channel, because it's not about faith failing him, it's about faith working in a way he didn't expect, and almost missed completely. Hi, I'm Zara, and this is Smart About Wealth, where we break down money, mindset, and the deeper laws that connect them. Twice a week, no fluff. If stories like this one are useful to you, hit subscribe now and tap like if you've ever prayed, hoped, or wished for a breakthrough that seemed to never come. Stay to the end because what happened to Jacob changes how you'll think about your own waiting. Let me take you back to the beginning. Jacob was an accountant in Queens. Steady job, steady salary, nothing spectacular, but nothing to complain about either. Then the financial crisis hit his firm. He was one of 400 people let go in a single afternoon. He did what most of us would do. He panicked. He applied everywhere. Nothing. Weeks turned into a month. His savings, never large to begin with, started disappearing into rent and his father's medication. This is where most stories about money and faith go one of two ways. Either the person gives up and the story becomes a warning, or money falls into their lap and the story becomes a fairy tale that doesn't help anyone, because life doesn't actually work that way. Jacob's story is neither, and that's exactly why it matters. He kept praying, every morning in the same pew, the same prayer, let money come. But here's what he told me, years later, when I finally sat down with someone who knew him. The prayer wasn't working, and some part of him knew it. Not because God wasn't listening, because he was asking the wrong question. One morning, a man at the church, someone Jacob had seen but never spoken to, sat next to him and said something that Jacob initially found almost insulting. He said, "You're praying for money. Have you asked what you're offering the world in exchange for it?" Jacob almost walked away. He was desperate, not in the mood for a lecture from a stranger. But something made him stay and actually answer the question. And the honest answer was, nothing. He wasn't offering anything right now. He was an accountant with no job, sitting in a pew, hoping. That single conversation didn't hand him money. It handed him a different question. Not, how do I receive, but what do I have that someone else needs? He started small. He knew bookkeeping. His neighbor ran a tiny bodega and kept messy, handwritten records. Jacob offered to organize them, for free at first, just to have something to do with his hands and his skill instead of sitting still. Word spread. Within 2 months, he had 6 small shop owners paying him a modest fee to manage their books. Within a year, that had become a small accounting practice. Within 5 years, that practice employed 12 people. Here's the part I want you to sit with. Jacob didn't stop believing in something larger than himself. He just stopped believing that belief alone was the mechanism. The prayer wasn't wasted. It kept him in that pew long enough to have that conversation. But the money came from the moment belief turned into offered value. This is the law almost nobody explains correctly. Abundance isn't a transfer that happens to you. It's a channel that opens through you, and the channel only opens when you're offering something on the other side of it. Scarcity thinking asks, how do I get mine before someone else takes it? Abundance thinking asks, what do I have that creates value for someone else, and trusts that value returns? Jacob's shift wasn't spiritual bypass or forced positivity. It was one honest question that redirected 6 weeks of stagnant prayer into 5 years of building something real. If you're in a season like Jacob's right now, the waiting season, the season where the prayer or the hope or the vision board doesn't seem to be working, I want you to ask yourself the same question that stranger asked him. Not, why hasn't this come to me yet? But what am I offering right now, today, that the world actually needs? That question won't feel comfortable. It wasn't comfortable for Jacob either. But it's the only question that turns hoping into building. Money isn't punishing you by staying away. It's waiting for the channel to open. And the channel opens through offered value, not through waiting harder. If this story shifted something in you, subscribe for more of these, and tell me in the comments, what's one skill or value you already have right now that you haven't offered anyone yet? See you in the next one.